So we're going to be doing, of course. Is it live now? I wonder if it's live. Remember what I was doing the other day when it wouldn't let me go live? Well, hopefully we're live now. So start inviting some people. Get the video going. Share it on the other formats. Oh, man. Let's see real quick. The Truth 6. We have Maureen. She's going to be getting on pretty soon. I'm trying to use this little stand that I have. Sorry about that. A little bit late getting on because I was trying to get Enza situated with some lunch. Her mom's making some dinner in the background, so give me 1 second. I'm going to make sure that if the camera's a little off, it's my work phone, but we're going to get the video shared real quick. I'm using this phone because I can keep it on the charger. My other phone, the charger got broken with Enza. So give me 1 minute. I am going to make sure that we start having more people on the Angel Family videos. The last video was number 5. We had Marianne Mendoza that was on. All right, let's see. You guys can share the video. I would really appreciate it. Watching a lot of what you guys are doing there in Arizona and California. Good for you guys. If it wasn't for patriots like you guys, we wouldn't be having a movement because there's a lot of brain dead sheep. So, give me 1 second to get this tripod thing down. Haven't used it in a while. All right. It's funny, you don't put the tripod on a certain way, it will fall right over. So, can you guys hear me? Yeah, she's going to be on in a minute. All right, let's see. Hoping the tripod does not go into the sink. It's happened.
Hi.
How's it going?
Eric. Good. How are you?
I want to apologize first of all because I know you, and sometimes when you're doing stuff on Facebook, people's pictures and voices sound 10 times different. So I'm like, sorry.
No. You
Okay.
pictured me to look different?
No. I have more than one Maureen on the Facebook stuff. So I get a text and I'm like, wait a minute, is that the same? Wait, hold on. Trust me, it's not on purpose. And then I got little Enza, she'll throw my phone in the sink or something. So we're making this work. Tripod is set. So you know how this works. This is your video. I'm going to be sharing it. I want people to get the background of your son and what was going on. Are you still going through court battles with your son's death and all this?
No, we've completed the trial. It's been 6 years since Matthew was killed.
Okay, I just want to make sure because somebody was trying to ask me that and I was like, no, I don't think so. So I'm going to let you start the video off with your name and talking about your son. And sorry, I got someone from California calling me again. And this is your video. Let's get it started. I was messing with the thing, so I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. So my name's Maureen Maloney, and my son was Matthew Denise, who was killed by an illegal alien. I'm also a founding member of AVAC, which is Advocates for Victims of Illegal Alien Crimes.
And I knew that. I knew that earlier, and I was like, oh, let me get you back with Marianne. And I was getting people mixed up because I was trying to hurry up, so sorry. Keep going.
That's fine. So just a little bit about, Matthew. Matthew was more than I could have ever dreamed for in a son. He was just one of those babies that was born smiling. He had this infectious smile. People loved him, from day one. People just gravitated towards him. And I have 2 sons. So, my other son didn't get the same reaction from people. But Matthew was just a people person, and everybody loved him. He had a great sense of humor. He was 23 years old. He had graduated from college 3 months before he was killed. He had gotten a bachelor's degree in information technology and business. And his goal was to go into law enforcement and combine his information technology degree with, doing cyber police work.
Which is really big right now, so that's a need.
Yeah. He had a long-term girlfriend. They'd been dating for 6 or 7 years before he was killed, and I loved her. She's like a daughter to me to this day. And on August 20th, 2011, Matthew had been helping a friend work on his mother's car, and he was on his way home. And he was driving in a downtown area where the speed limit was 20 miles an hour, and he had just made a left onto that road, so he wasn't going that fast. When Nicholas Guaman, who was a drunk criminal alien, ran through a stop sign, and his truck and Matthew's motorcycle collided. Now, Matthew survived the initial collision because it was low speed. Matthew was doing 5 miles an hour. The truck was doing 7 miles an hour. So the forensic experts and witnesses who saw this testified that Matthew landed on the hood of the trunk, smashed into the driver's side windshield and rolled off, and he would have survived the crash with contusions and abrasions. But then Nicholas Guaman decided to flee the scene, and when he fled, he ran over Matthew, and Matthew got caught in the passenger wheel well. And he dragged Matthew a quarter of a mile to his death. And it was a beautiful summer evening. There were people outside barbecuing. It was right near a school. So there were a lot of witnesses to this, and people were putting on the truck, pleading with him to stop. And he wouldn't. He was just making turns, left and right turns down side streets. I think he was trying to dislodge Matthew from the truck. So it was just horrific.
Sorry, I'm just digesting it because it sounds a lot like with what happened with Judy. I don't know if you saw the video with Judy.
I did. Yeah, I know.
And it's nuts. It's like a flashback.
I still get chills talking about it, but I can say it's not an uncommon story with these illegal immigrants. The one common thing is they do flee the accident.
Yeah.
So after he was making these turns, and Matthew did become dislodged at one point when the truck ran off the road, and the driver backed up over Matthew again and continued to flee until the police caught up with him and apprehended him. Now, he also had a 6-year-old son in the truck with him, which didn't make the media very often. And there was a passenger in the truck who eventually fled the country. He was illegal too. But he told police that the driver knew he was dragging Matthew, and the passenger was yelling at the driver, and he didn't. So,
oh man.
Nick,
so the guy gets in a car accident with your son. Mm-hmm. He tries to flee the scene. Your son would have lived if he would have just stayed. It's almost like Sabina's story too, where these guys just commit this heinous crime and they think that they're going to get away with it. They end up killing your son. What happened after your son's passing and when he was laid to rest and stuff? I mean, you were telling me that it was a huge court battle, sorry.
It was. I mean, there was a lot of public outcry. Matthew was actually the third death in a 2-year period by illegal aliens in our town. So by that time, people were fed up with this. Not only that,
that was the third death in your town by an illegal alien?
2-year period. Third
in
death
a 2-year period.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Richard Grassi, his sister Maureen, I think you've probably spoken with her. If not, she's going to be contacting you soon. He was the first death, and then there was a second death. Who that family, stayed quiet. I'm listening to your daughter. I didn't know if that was my grandson making.
Oh no, I'm trying to get her to stop. That's why I'm like, I'm sorry. She's eating a peanut butter and jelly. She slapped me with peanut butter and jelly. I'm like, we're running late, Enza. No, no,
I'm
no. I'm
lucky,
sorry about that.
so my grandson can't come in here. He's about the same age as
Oh,
her.
no, no, no. It's all about family. Gina's making dinner. That's
It
why
is.
I'm like, but so here's how I want to do this, because there's a lot more to your story that you haven't told a lot of people, because I've been doing some digging. You're not so you're the third family. No, you were the second, right? Or were you the third?
The third
The
family in
third.
a 2-year period.
In a 2-year period, and they still didn't get, man. I'm sorry, because you live in
Oh,
Massachusetts, and that state's real crazy with a lot of what they do legally. They're also, aren't you living in a sanctuary city?
they're not officially a sanctuary city, but if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, probably is a duck kind of thing. So Nicholas Guaman had spent his day before he killed Matthew drinking. It was also his son's birthday, but he spent his day drinking. Him and his brother consumed a case of beer between the two of them. And when Nicholas Guaman left his brother's house where he'd been drinking all day, his 11-year-old niece feared for the life of her cousin, who was Nicholas Guaman's 6-year-old son. She actually called the police to report him drunk driving. His 11-year-old niece called the police on him. So the police were actually looking for him and were not far behind. They were about 30 seconds behind him when he collided with Matthew. They were coming down the road.
He's an illegal alien. He's drinking. He's under the influence. He's got his kid in the truck, and nobody tried stopping him.
No, he'd been arrested before for assaulting a police officer, breaking and entering, driving without a license, and each time he was shown leniency and just received a slap on the hand. So, the police did apprehend him that night, and he's been locked up since the day that he killed Matthew. But I got the phone call from the hospital, and I usually don't answer my home telephone. I don't think too many people answer their home phones anymore. It's only telemarketers. But I saw it in caller ID. It was the hospital, so I picked it up, and they just said Matthew was in an accident to come to the hospital, and I asked, how is he doing? And the person said, I don't know. I'm, the receptionist calling you. Well, I'm a nurse practitioner, and I've worked in emergency room and trauma, so I knew it was not good. So my husband and I, the hospital's about 2 miles away. We drove there. We passed Matthew's motorcycle. And when I passed Matthew's motorcycle, that was the first time I got any sign of hope, because his motorcycle was laying on the side of the road and no damage to it. I mean, there was a police officer there. There was the tape around the motorcycle, but it didn't register to me. I thought, oh my God, he's okay. It was just a minor accident here. And as soon as I got to the hospital, and when the nurse came out and took me into the room, to wait for the doctor, I knew it was horrific news. So the doctor came in and pretty much told me Matthew, had been in a motorcycle accident. They did what they could, but he didn't survive, and then he left.
So were they able to? Well, I know they did. I'm saying, how long did it take for them to apprehend the illegal alien? I call them illegal criminals.
Illegal criminals, you're right. It was just a matter of minutes.
Oh, good.
He was trying to avoid the police, and he ended up going down a narrow road, and there was cars parked, and he kind of got stuck where he, couldn't get through the parked cars, and they apprehended him right away. But, when we were told that Matthew did not survive, I heard the most guttural scream I've ever heard in my life, and that, came out of my husband. He just started making this very primal scream and pounding the sofa that was in the waiting room where we were, and I just went numb. Like, it's like an out-of-body experience.
I couldn't even imagine. I'm over here dealing with Enza in the background playing and her little sandwich, and I get in trouble a lot from Gina because I got to be a dad first, and I'm like, shh, stop. No. But he gets arrested, right? A couple minutes later, you were telling me that it was a long, drug-out court experience for you, wasn't it?
It was. So it took us almost 3 years to get him to trial. Now, the public defender that was assigned to him had never tried a murder case. He was originally charged with second-degree murder. I mean,
Oh
that
yeah.
was his charge, along with vehicular homicide, drunk driving, child endangerment, and a whole list of other charges. He was charged with second-degree murder. So because the public defender had never done a murder case before, a private attorney volunteered pro bono to mentor this public defender, and he was a top-notch criminal attorney. And he was making big bucks off of representing this guy, through new business. So, month after month, you go to court, sometimes once a month, twice a month. Every time we went to court, we had to take off from work, and my husband and I, and lose pay.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I want you to get in detail about this because I was so mad when you called me, we were talking about this, because this is the problem with America. I want you to get in detail about this. I was talking to Marianne about this on the phone. This is nuts. Tell him what happened with how he was treated compared to you and your husband. He was getting his meals paid. He had a free attorney.
He was in jail, but his family, when they would come to court, they were transported to court by the police department because, they're illegal and we don't provide driver's license to illegal aliens, so they couldn't drive to court. So they got transported by the police. The police stayed there because you never knew if you were going to be in court for a half hour or a whole day. So the police stayed there until they were done and transported them home. And then when we would get a meal break, they would be provided with vouchers to get free lunches, and my husband and I and whatever family came with us would have to go to the street and buy food at the high-priced restaurants in the city. Plus we paid $15 a day to park, plus we took off from work and lost pay to go to court. And we were going to court probably the first year and a half. We were going to court twice a month because the truck actually belonged to Nicholas Guaman's brother. So there was a court hearing in our local court for charges against his brother for letting an unlicensed driver drive his vehicle, and then charges in the Superior Court for Nicholas Guaman. So we would have 2 court appearances a month.
So you're basically dealing with not one illegal alien. I'm guessing his brother was an illegal alien too, probably.
He was. Yes, he was.
So chain migration, which is a big problem in America, on top of the illegal alien who stole the life from your son. It's just nuts. And then they just get treated. Sorry, I get mad every time I think about this. So his family, who's probably illegals, get free meals, get free rides back and forth to the court case. And like it's been the last couple of years especially, the American family is mistreated by our own government, and you're spending all your money out of your pocket.
Absolutely. Right.
So what finally ended up happening with the case and the sentence he got?
So before I get to that, I want to
go ahead.
Talk about one other important point. So they were providing Spanish interpreters for the first 2 years. And then it came out that he didn't speak Spanish. He spoke Quechua, which is a unique Ecuadorian language. I mean, that's the language they speak in Ecuador, along with Spanish. So they had to find Ecuadorian translator, which there are very few in the country. So that was a huge expense, bringing them in from other parts of the country to translate. So at one point, the judge declared him mentally incompetent to stand trial because he had a second-grade education and did not speak English.
Wait a minute. Because he didn't have an education, they declared him incompetent. He was competent enough to drive a vehicle and to drink alcohol, but he couldn't be competent in court. It's just nuts.
Right. And he was working off the books to provide for his family. He was working as a roofer. So he was competent to get here. He was competent enough to work. He was competent enough to have another kid. He was competent enough to be on welfare.
Oh, he's on welfare too. Oh, that's nice.
Yes. But he wasn't competent to stand trial. So then that meant the district attorney's office then had to hire a psychiatrist to evaluate him to prove he was mentally competent so we could actually get to a trial, which we did after almost 3 years.
It took
And
3 years to find him competent for a trial, so you're wasting all this extra money out of your pocket.
it took 3 years to get to a trial. It took almost a year to find him mentally competent.
Oh, a year. Oh, man.
Then when he was found mentally competent, because of his second grade education, he had to be tutored in our court system. So they hired a lawyer to tutor him in court because he needed to know our court system so that he could participate if he chose to in the trial.
Every time I hear one of your guys' story, it gets more bizarre in how much better they treat illegal aliens than they treat the United States citizen. It's just nuts.
Now, mind you, my husband and I and my family, we've been law-abiding citizens, so we've never gone to court. You know, I'm not experienced with dealing with our judicial system. Nobody provided me an education. I had to learn everything on my own. And you know where I got the best education was? From other parents who had been through this, who had gotten screwed over. So that's why my husband and I were so determined that we were going to show up at every single court hearing, no matter what. So finally we got to trial. And then it turns out the interpreter starts translating, and the judge said to the translator, "What language are you speaking?" And the interpreter said, "Spanish." The judge spoke fluent Spanish, you know, by the grace of God. The trial ended up being done in Spanish. We never even needed the Ecuadorian translator. He was declared mentally incompetent because of this unique Ecuadorian language. And it was all a farce. It was all his attorney trying to get him off.
So the judge ends up speaking Spanish. He wasted all this time to get him an interpreter. It's almost like they find ways to make the court system make more money off the case instead of just taking action for the U.S. citizen who's a victim.
Right.
It's just nuts.
So if an interpreter was used for a court translation, they could not be used by the psychiatrist for the psychiatric evaluation. So then they had to bring in a separate cash-in translator. So we did finally get to trial. It was 4 or 5 days. Yeah, it was 5 days long, and then we had to wait over the weekend for the judge's decision. And they ended up finding him guilty of OUI, not the second-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 12 to 14 years in jail. But in Massachusetts, you get 30% of your sentence reduced for good behavior, and I was told good behavior is not killing a guard, or not killing an inmate. So
as long as you don't kill somebody, you're being a good inmate.
You're being a good inmate. So he will be out of jail August 20th, 2019.
Are you kidding me? He's going to be getting out of jail at the end of next year because he didn't kill a security guard or anybody. That's called good behavior. Right. 30% off his original sentence.
Right. And the reason he didn't get charged with the second-degree murder, the original charges, because the passenger that was in the truck fled the country. He was on an ICE detainer bracelet. He cut the bracelet off. He fled the country. ICE didn't report it. The police went to bring him for a grand jury hearing 3 days after he cut the bracelet off, and he wasn't at his apartment. So they called ICE to see where he was, and they're like, "Oh, he cut that bracelet off 3 days ago." So we know what flight he took to leave the country. We couldn't get him back. He went back to Ecuador. Somehow he ended up in Colombia, and I found out he was in Colombia in jail.
It almost seems like to me, and I just because I looked down real quick, it seems like ICE is useless. This bracelet was just cut off. Like, and I know ankle bracelets are hard to get off. This guy cut his little bracelet off and fled, and oh my God.
Janet Napolitano was the head of Homeland Security at the time, and when I wrote to her, her response was that they contract. The people who monitor the detainer bracelets is contracted out to the private sector, and that's who was responsible for it.
Wow. So
the passenger in the car ended up in jail in Colombia, and now this was about 4 months before we were going to trial. So I wanted him extradited back to the U.S. The district attorney's office said they couldn't get him extradited because it would take too long and that would violate Nicholas's Guam and his right to a speedy trial. Like, it took us 3 years to get to trial because of his delays, but when I wanted the only witness who could say that he knew he was dragging and killing Matthew extradited back, it was going to take too long, and it was going to violate his right to a speedy trial.
It almost feels like the system's working against the American people. That makes no sense to me. You would think that they would want to get that person back because it was an illegal alien plus the other illegal alien. Now I see it's disgusting, especially when you got Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi standing for 8 hours for little Felipe. I'm sorry about that. Keep going. Because I'm going to be asking you on your thoughts on it with a lot of this stuff and what we need to do pretty soon. It's just crazy.
I mean, the stuff that we've gone through, you can't even make this stuff up. So, after Matthew was initially killed, we couldn't even see him for hours because the local police and the state police were both investigating because they weren't sure if it was a local case or a state case at that point. So, we sat in the waiting room for hours knowing he was gone and we couldn't see him. Then they had to do an autopsy. So we had to delay his funeral for a week and a half for the autopsy.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
Then we got a hurricane, so we had to delay his funeral another couple days because of the hurricane. Then when I was at Matthew's wake, get this, we're at his viewing, and my husband gets a call that Obama's uncle was arrested for drunk driving in Massachusetts.
I heard about that.
You remember that? That's when Matthew was being waked, when his you can't make this stuff up. The president's uncle, who we didn't even know existed, is 20 minutes away getting arrested for drunk driving.
Well, we also have to remember that Barack Obama was a total idiot who stood up for nothing but aliens instead of Americans first. Right. That's why we had this DACA problem. DACA.
He was also buddy with our then governor, Deval Patrick, who, by the way, when we had that hurricane, when we had to delay Matthew's funeral, he was doing a state of emergency talk, and one of the reporters said to him, so, what are your thoughts on, Matthew Janice being killed? And he looked at the reporter and he said, that man wasn't killed by an illegal alien. He was killed by a drunk driver.
I remember that.
He couldn't even repeat the name. He called him that man.
Yeah, well, that idiot who was the 44th president of the United States, who was actually breaded to be a traitor, give me 30 minutes, I'll make you hate the guy.
I already do.
When those sorry, I get so angry with Barack Obama because he's just a hypocritical loser. When you had those police officers in Dallas who were killed, he wouldn't even go and do a speech for them. But when we had, what was his name, honey? Who was the guy, I can't believe I forgot his name. Remember the black kid who grabbed the nightstick? I can't believe anyway.
Oh, I know. They have all the rioting.
Yeah.
I'm drawing too.
I forgot the kid's name, but I got a really big point about this. So he grabs a nightstick from a cop. He gets shot in the process, and he's the victim. In Farmington, New Mexico, there was a police officer in a parking lot. The same thing happened, and the guy was killed, but he almost had killed the police officer. It's almost like reverse justice. You know what I mean? The president was, the loser ex-president seemed like he had an agenda to stand up for illegal aliens and criminals first. Mm-hmm. That's why we have the problems we do now, because we have no justice. And I didn't mean to go on a rant, but what I was telling you was I remember exactly what you're talking about. You have a president of the United States whose uncle gets caught for drinking and driving, but that's
and he
okay.
hit he crashed into a police officer's car. I mean, nobody was hurt, but yeah, and he's still here. He was allowed to stay.
Well, Barry Davis was an idiot, so I'm sorry about that. And he's not an Obama. His father was Frank Marshall Davis. We'll do another video on that with you later. Hypocrisy at its worst. So you're going... Oh, sorry about this. It's your video. I was just going to say, let's continue. My bad.
Oh, I was just going to say, so families are re-traumatized over and over again. It's not just the initial killing. The judicial system re-traumatizes the families over and over again.
Well, the amazing thing was that you were able to connect with other women that had this happen to them too, especially with their, I'm not going to talk about one of the organizations, but the organizations that brought the angel families together for Donald Trump. I feel like Donald Trump and these people have kind of left you guys behind. That's why we're going to catalog these videos and end up putting them all together and stuff later when I get the opportunity. Enza, sorry. She's just being little. She wants a tamale. No. I just find it crazy how these people keep getting away with all this stuff. You have people calling Donald Trump a racist. They're calling him Hitler, even though we just had this March for Our Lives thing with that little David Hawks, who is Hitler's little son, out there trying to create gun-grabbing rules and stand up for people who shouldn't be here anyway. I mean, if you think about it, it's just disturbing because they don't talk about the truth on the news. They don't. Marianne was on the news for about 5 minutes. She had to put everything that was going on with your guys' organization and what happened to your guys' kids in 5 minutes on Fox. They don't give you and Sabina and Agnes or any of you angel moms enough time to talk about this. Sorry, I can't hear myself. The things that are going on. Am I really loud? I'm sorry, I can't hear myself. Apologize. No, it's just nuts.
No, you're absolutely right. And then, some of the other interviews that I did where they came to my house and they were longer interviews, they edited so much that it doesn't even resemble what your original interview looked like.
Well, tell everybody about that. They sit you down. You're doing what, maybe an hour and a half of giving your side of the story and what happened with court. You turn on the TV and it's what, a 10-minute segment, maybe?
Yeah, 2-minute segment, and a lot of the important stuff is edited out. And they just kept playing the same stuff over and over again, pretty much the details of how Matthew was killed.
Well, I'm gonna let you in on something I don't ever talk about. I know a few of these people who are big in the media, just by chance in meeting them. And what makes me disgusted is that now you have people who are starting a new movement in internet media who have left you guys behind. It's almost like how they used Donald Trump's name to get rich, and now they're doing their own thing. I'm not going to talk about the other organization, but I think it's a fabulous organization that you guys are a part of, you and Marianne. Yeah, and I'm going to try to get a T-shirt for me and Gina and find a way to see what we can do to donate some money. But it's just nuts. It's nuts to see. They treated your story as if it was okay for right now, but we don't have that problem going on anymore. Every day I'm reading more articles on angel families. It's disturbing.
Every day, 12 Americans are killed by
12 Americans.
12 Americans. So it's over 4,300 people a year, and I think Marianne quoted 63,000 people have killed since 9/11. And yet the media barely even talks about it.
I'm not going to bring up any names because we're both fans. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to talk about people. But there's something creepy going on with the Democratic agenda. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, that idiot Jerry Brown. I just got an article sent to me. I don't know if it's real or not. I'll have to research it, where they're trying to poison bottled water at the stores. I mean, we're living in upside down society.
Mm-hmm.
We should be standing for Americans first and getting these hypocritical congressmen out of office. But now it seems like the alter ego thing to do is we keep getting more and more of these clowns. This March of Our Lives didn't just is that what it was? March for Our Life or something like that?
March, for Our Lives.
I didn't even watch it. It was the stupidest thing in the world. These people have no idea what they're doing to America. It's just nuts. They're putting down everybody who's a patriot, all the angel parents, the Border Patrol officers that have been killed. When we hear these people talk stupid like this, they leave out all the other facts. I mean, 300 people were marching against 15 Border Patrol officers from Mexico throwing rocks at them. We have a huge problem with immigration right now, and immigration reform and chain migration. It's just nuts. And then every day, 12 people. I mean, there's more than 12 people.
More,
That's what they report.
that's what we statistically know, right? That doesn't
Yeah, it's
include
just
those
nuts.
that got away with murder and were never caught.
What did you think when you saw Nancy Pelosi standing for 8 hours talking about wanting her grandson to be a brown kid? Just stupid. These people are so dumb.
Well, first of all, I think she's so full of it. I don't believe that her grandson even said that, and if he did, he was probably referring to like her housekeeper's grandson or something like that. You know,
it's like Hollywood. Hollywood goes there, makes a movie, tells you it's wrong. You know what I mean? We need to stand for immigrants. They're not immigrants; they're criminals. They don't pay taxes. They don't pay into the system. It's just disgusting.
And they're not immigrants. Immigrants are people that have come here legally.
Oh, I love you because we're on the same page with that.
Paid their fees, done their paperwork, had their health exam. I mean, think about that. These people crossing the border illegally haven't had any health exam. You don't know what diseases they're bringing. They haven't had their vaccinations. Like, you can't enroll your daughter in school when it's time until she's had certain vaccinations.
Well, what's crazy too is you start finding out that they have these little camps everywhere in America. Can you come get her, honey? We're having all these little camps in America where they hold these people. You know, they hold them, and they start making little camps for illegal criminals to invite all their family to come over. Then they, instead of paying the $1,000 and some to become a legal citizen, well, we also have programs to help them with that too. Then they start telling us how we need to live. They're trying to change our way of life. It's just nuts. Go next to
Right. They have no intention of assimilating like legal immigrants do. Legal immigrants come here because they want a better life, you know, and they want to assimilate into our country.
Oh, they get more welfare, free housing, free phones, pocket money. And they don't just have one wives. Some of these people have 2, 3, 4 wives. It's just nuts.
You know, and the other thing is these unaccompanied minors that come across the border, they aren't put in these camps. They're put into homes. And they're going to school with our kids. They don't speak English. They have not had their vaccinations. They're sucking up all the school resources because they need so much help because they're so far behind and they don't speak the language. So our children are suffering in their education. You know, school budgets are crazy. The towns just can't afford them anymore. And then they're a burden on our healthcare system too.
Like Sabina's on right now, and Agnes was on a little bit ago. And it's like when you see what's going on and how much they had to fight to come to the country, become a citizen, how much money they had to spend. She was talking, I got prodded and so much blood taken, tons of paperwork and lots of money, paid just to come here and get a resident alien card. They're not trying to become legal at all. They're not trying to do it the right way. They're killing this nation. They
want to turn us into a third world country.
Exactly. Before you know it, we're going to be muzzled. It's like Gaddafi trying to get his people to get back on the gold and silver standard, and the elites want to use and profit off of all these illegal criminals taking everything that we have. It really makes everything that happened to your son, Sabina's son, and the rest of the kids, Wendy's on right now, her daughter, a complete farce. It's just nuts.
And you know, Eric, though, why wouldn't these people come when we're rolling out the red carpet for them?
Oh yeah.
We're telling them to come here. We're giving them free phones. We're making their children that are born here legal American citizens. We're educating their kids that they bring here from wherever. We're giving them welfare in a lot of cases, food stamps for their American-born children. Why wouldn't they come here?
You know, there's something that I was researching today when I was at work getting ready to get off, that a lot of these illegal criminals get government grants to start businesses. Government grants with no credit to start a business. They open up all these little mom and pop shops. Before you know it, there's another gas station and stuff. But the everyday average American, we're based off our credit score and our background of where we come from, and we don't get the help. It's just nuts. Right. If you're a white Christian conservative male or woman, you know, you're the enemy. And this has all been brought on by the Democrat Party and all these evil demons that work next to Nancy Pelosi and some rhino Republicans like John McCain. what's going on in Arizona right now is disturbing. I watch Jennifer Harrison and them. You've probably seen them on my Facebook. They're going and screaming at everybody, which they need to be doing. You know, they're taking our schools, our public buildings, and basically writing death to America on them because they don't like us. These Democrats are going to have our families in bondage and put into slave camps before we know it. It's how they work. And a lot of people go, oh, Eric, you're crazy. That's not something that could happen. Look at the Jews. Look at what happened with the Jews. And look what's going on with David Hogg and that little SOB. We'll leave it at that. And then you think about all these poor kids that were murdered. It's just nuts. Because your son wasn't just in an accident. He was murdered.
He was murdered. He did not die from the accident. And even if he had died from the initial collision, Nicholas Guaman should never have been here on that day to be drinking himself into oblivion and then getting behind the wheel of a vehicle.
And then people, they keep saying, oh, well, Mexico. It's not Mexico, ladies and gentlemen. You can be an illegal alien criminal from England. It's about everybody who's not legal, who doesn't have the right to stay or overstay their visa. You know, Wendy's kid was killed by a Haitian. You know, you had a Guatemala kid, or, you know, I'm assuming he was from South America, not Mexico, who killed your son.
Right. He was from Ecuador. You know, the thing is, I'm up here in Massachusetts. We have illegal immigrants from Ireland. I am Irish, but you know what? They're here illegally. They need to go back too.
Oh, yeah. My last name's Keenan. Trust me, I feel the same way. They're Irish. They're illegal immigrants. Hasta la vista.
If they're here illegally, do it the right way. It's not fair to those that have come here the right way. Those that are waiting, you know, 5-10 years to get a visa to come here, to get a green card.
Are you connected with the families that also lost their children in Massachusetts? I mean, do you stay in contact with them?
I'm connected with a few of them, yes.
I just, you know, it's just sad. You know, it's sad that there's not that much help for people, because every time I hear this story, you guys don't get the help with the money and the food and the free attorney, and it's always the opposite with the illegal criminal. See, everybody wants to call them aliens. I call them criminals. They're raping and pillaging our nation. They come in, they live for free, they go back and get more people to come live for free. This whole thing with the wall, we should have built it years ago. You know, they're trying to compare it to Germany. It's nothing like that. You know, we have huge diseases. We're not talking the flu. We're talking, I forgot the name of the disease. It's a new one. I just forgot. It's a bloodborne pathogen. It's not AIDS, but it's, I forgot. I'll get the information. I'll email it to you. It's just nuts. And it's another disease that comes from the Middle East, because they're not vetted. They don't get their checkups or their shots. They don't get blood taken, and they're just allowed to take advantage of us.
And think about it. If you were a terrorist and you wanted to get into the United States to do very bad things, doesn't it sound like a good idea to come in through the Mexican border? Because they have skin tones that are similar in color, and I do believe that Middle Easterns could pass for, you know, South Americans and sneak across the southern border and come into the country.
Let me scare the hell out of you. Think of Canada. They have Delborn, Michigan. Then you go into Canada. You have all these mosques. You know, in Arizona, you have Kingman, where, you know, it's starting to become the little Middle East and stuff. But you can easily come over the Canadian border just as you could the Mexican border, and nobody talks about it. There's a 2-mile radius all around the United States of America where there's Border Patrol. They harass Americans first. But they allow the illegal citizen, that's what they call them, because they allow them to stay here, to keep going. It costs more money for the sheriff's office or the police officers to arrest them or put them in jail. So they basically give them a ride back to Mexico, hoping they don't want to just turn around and come back in.
Yeah, nice. And then they do turn around and come back in.
I mean, what do you see? You're in Massachusetts. I could only imagine how many illegal criminals you have there. You probably see them on a daily basis.
You know, unfortunately, I do. And they are criminals because, one, they're in the country illegally. Two, they have to find a way to support themselves, so that, you know, they're working. So they're either using fraudulent Social Security number, or they're working off the books and not paying taxes. Then how do you get back and forth to work? You have to drive. We don't issue a license to illegal aliens. So then they drive a vehicle without a license. They drive without insurance.
Yeah, they don't have insurance. They don't have a license. So when you go to make a claim, you can't even get your car paid off. You can't go get another car because no one's going to pay for it. They get away with more than, and it's, I don't want to say it like this, but it's the truth. They get away with murder and some. It's just disturbing.
Right. And just about every person I know has had some kind of interaction, either fender bender with an illegal alien or had, their identity stolen from them. It's an epidemic proportion. And, that's one of the things with AVIAC. We're not just fighting for families that have had a loved one killed. We're fighting for all victims, people that are raped, people that are assaulted, people that are burglarized, identity fraud, all victims of illegal alien crime.
I want to put this out there for Jamie real quick. We're only talking about people who are illegal. It doesn't matter what color you are, what your race is, what your religion is. It's all about trying to keep people safe. And most people that are illegal and don't want to become legal citizens of the United States of America are probably doing something that isn't legal, because they would have probably took the right steps to become a citizen and to pay into the system.
Right.
It's just nuts. It is very sad. And then when, and I'm going to let you get into this, but I'm not going to talk about anything else. You have Donald Trump in 2016. He's getting ready to run. A lot of you angel parents come together, and I mean, you're probably learning that you're not the only one that went through all this stuff. A lot of the stories sound very similar when I talk to you angel moms and angel dads.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I said before about Matthew's, accident, or, not accident, but Matthew was killed, but he was run over multiple times. You were talking to Judy the other night, and, her son's story was similar. Don Rosenberg, who's an angel dad, his son was run over multiple times. And there's stories that I've heard of people that have actually survived it, but, being dragged after you've been run over. Another one of our angel families, Brian McCann, his brother was run over and dragged to his death.
We appreciate you, Jamie. I was just making sure you knew. I don't want you getting mad thinking I'm nitpicking and being hateful. It's not about that. In the Bible, Jesus says, or God says in the Holy Trinity, to treat everybody with love. But it also says that you need to submit to your worldly government and pertain to those laws and keep with those laws. So when I'm hearing your story and all the other moms and dads, it's so sad that these criminals, that ICE, that we have, I'm talking way loud, I'm sorry because I can't hear myself, but, I'm so upset with the Oakland mayor who was trying to warn off the illegal criminals and tell them they didn't have to listen to ICE. And I was going to get your opinion on that because it's disturbing. I mean, imagine this. Imagine you're in Boston, for instance, right? You're in Boston, Mass. You go to a baseball game. Nobody thinks about this. They keep thinking it's buildings and it's trains. Can you imagine how many people could be killed inside of a stadium, inside of Fenway Park? A bomb goes off. One day, one baseball game, one football game. It's not going to just be an angel mom. It's going to be Angel America if we don't do something about it.
And don't forget, we had the marathon bombers up here in Boston.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts.
And 9/11, the hijackers got on planes, five of the six, how many were there? 12 or 13, but most of them got on planes up here in Boston. So we have been the epicenter for a lot of disasters, a lot of being killed.
The funny thing about it, and I'm not trying to just talk, but it's like, and I hate sounding like a jerk again, when we go and make films about school shootings, and then we go and make more films about bombers on HBO, it's usually more than, well, I couldn't hear myself. When I said bombers, my mic went out. But, you got people like Dennis Michael Lynch and all these guys making profits, so they're going to keep making movies, coming to America 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then on top of that, another school shooting. If we keep giving this attention, it's almost like it gives them another idea on what and how they're going to commit another act.
Right. And they enjoy this attention.
Yeah. And not only do they enjoy the attention, but while our young kids are spread across other countries fighting on this fake narrative called war on terror, we're a defenseless nation. We need to have a wall.
We definitely need to have a wall. We need to secure our borders through the airports, through the the seaports. You know, not all the illegal aliens come across the borders.
Exactly.
So these people that come over here on tourist visas, they need to be tracked. And when their 90 days is up or whatever amount of time they're allowed to be here, they need to go back home.
Well, there's a lot of illegal criminals that come from China and they go into California. There's a lot of people who come in through Boston, Mass, and New York too that you wouldn't think of from Cuba.
My son's killer went through New York. He actually came. He traveled from Ecuador up to Mexico and then got on a cargo ship in Mexico and traveled from Mexico to New York on a cargo ship.
Yeah, that's crazy.
His brother and his wife came separate times, but all three of them came the same way. And now other family members have come here too. Our town probably has 20 or 25 of his relatives here that I am aware of. And the only reason I'm aware of it is because when they break the law and their name ends up in the newspaper, that's how I find out about it.
Well, let me tell you something, because they're not talking about it on TV. You got California, right? Not only do you have Mexico in the ocean, you have Boston, Mass, main port up there. You got New York, you got Florida. I mean, they keep wanting to just talk about Mexico. It's all over the United States that we have this problem, and we don't have enough ICE and Border Patrol agents. Now, I'm going to be doing Border Patrol agent interviews pretty soon here, on top of doing the Angel Mom stuff, because we have governors, I forgot her name, and mayors in California especially. I hope Agnes's husband wins. And Angie Morphin's watching. Her son. Yeah, her son. I remember the story when I was younger, and it's just nuts that people forget that this isn't just an everyday person issue. This is gangs. This is real gangs, not your little Crips and Bloods. These are people who are connected to drugs, connected to stealing kids and taking them over the border, kidnapping raids, trying to get money out of Americans. It's just disturbing. People forget about the truth. And that's why we've been doing these videos, because you can sit there all day long and make a movie about it. But until your family's directly involved, or you lose a child, God forbid, you're not going to understand. I don't understand. I'm learning every day from all the angel parents.
And thank God you don't understand. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody. I wish we could end, all killings by illegal aliens. But what we need to do is we need to go after sanctuary cities, and we need an e-verify system too. So build the wall, increase our border security, go after these sanctuary cities, because they're just a magnet for the illegal aliens.
Well, I got a perfect idea. Tell me if you agree real quick, because I was telling you this on the phone and then I got cut off because my phone died the other day. So when you get in trouble and you're on house arrest, they put an ankle bracelet on you. I don't see why our Border Patrol agents and our ICE agents don't just hook ankle bracelets to these people that can't just be snipped off. It's almost like the government wants to keep the illegal activity going because it's big business. We could easily have the wall, have ankle bracelets, and have other things like connected to where they're not stealing Social Security card numbers. They have their own little number, and take the incentive away to want to come to America. See, we keep giving these people an incentive to want to come.
Right.
We need to start penalizing businesses that give these people work. There should be a criminal action taken upon these businesses that hire somebody, and a couple of people are going to get mad at me because they're good workers, whatever. But we have tons of Americans that need jobs too.
But they're here illegally. I don't care how nice they are. I don't care how good of a worker they are. I don't care how religious they are. They're here illegally. That's the bottom line. They shouldn't be here. They've broken the law to be here, and they continue to break the law to stay here.
How's your other boy doing? Is he okay?
Yeah, he's doing fine. I mean, it was tough for him. I became very fearful of him and my husband doing anything after we lost Matthew, because you just start to feel so unsafe. You just want to put your family in a bubble and not let them into the outside world. And at the time, Michael was training to be an airline pilot, and he had to delay his training for about a year because I was just so fearful to let him go up in an airplane. I figured if Matthew could get killed like this 2 miles from our home, you know, what could happen to Michael being 30,000 feet in the air?
And is your husband okay? I mean, has he been able to kind of digest what's going on in the nation?
We're as good as, we can be. And, getting back to Michael, I mean, him and Matthew were going to be each other's best man when they got married. Michael has since gotten married and didn't have his brother there with him. They used to tease each other about the pranks they were going to pull at each other's bachelor parties. And, so it's been hard. My husband, he had a couple years of a lot of anger. I think men respond differently than women. He's dealing with it the best he can. He's come to terms with it that Matthew's not coming back, and we just need to move forward with our lives, and that's what Matthew would want. Matthew lived life to the fullest. In fact, after he was killed, his friends had bracelets made.
I saw that. I saw a lot of your pictures.
Live life to the fullest because Matthew lived more life in 23 years than a lot of people do in 80 or 85 years. And, another little funny story about Matthew is the bracelets were pink because Matthew, when he was in high school, there was this kid that everybody picked on him, the kind of kid that everybody picks on. So Matthew started wearing like pink shirt to school and a pink belt to try to take some of the attention away from the kid that was being picked on. And, he befriended him. Matthew was friends with everybody. So Matthew became known for the color pink. So the bracelets were made pink because, that became Matthew's favorite color, but it became his favorite color standing up for a kid that was being bullied.
Well, don't you know real guys can wear pink? Not silly boys.
Real men wear pink.
Real men wear pink. Oh, man. It's funny because, like, you hear... You remember that Billy Joel song, Only the Good Die Young? Mm-hmm. Every time I hear one of these stories, it's like, it's always the funny, goofy guy who was cool to everybody, or a girl who got taken advantage of, and then it just sucks.
Matthew was friends with everybody. At his funeral, there were over 1,000 people that came, but there were everybody from, the tattooed, spiked hair, pierced person to the geekiest looking person you could imagine, and everything in between. Everybody liked Matthew, and even people that didn't know him personally knew of him because Matthew would drive around town and he always gave the peace sign or the thumbs up to people. He loved people. He'd go into a store, he'd end up talking to everybody. So the whole town knew of him, and it was really hard on a lot of people when we lost Matthew.
Well, I'll let you know. Oh, sorry. Matthew's a big name in my family. My Uncle Matt was killed in a car accident after serving overseas. So when I hear you talk about Matthew, it's like, it's a big name in my family. Was there... I mean, this is your video. I'm like I'm like Murray right now, or, the results are in. No, I'm kidding. But, I mean, have you been able... What have you done in case somebody ever has this happen to them? Can you tell us about AVIAC, and can you tell us about the organization that you're a part of to help angel families? Because I'm trying to get it across that we need to start donating to help people that are going through this.
Yes, so, a group of us angel families got together and decided that we wanted to create an organization. There's other organizations out there, but they're not run by families that have experienced what we've experienced, and unless you've been through it, you can't even imagine what it's like. So we got together and we created AVIAC, which is Advocates for Victims of Illegal Alien Crimes. And we want to promote education, and we want to influence legislation to have our laws enforced and have stricter immigration laws, and support everybody that's been a victim of illegal alien crimes. Not just those that have been...
I think that even if your kid hasn't been murdered, or been hurt with one of these illegal criminals, we still have kids every day being victimized. We literally, I got that off a show we were watching last night where she kept saying it 45 times on King of Queens. We have our kids in homeschool because the things that you're starting to see in public school is just nuts. The things they're promoting with this liberal agenda, they're getting rid of the family. And I really do think it has a lot to do with illegal criminals, the chain migration, the Barack Obama years that we had, where, I mean, even in Barack Obama's presidency, I don't know if people notice this, he had the rising sun in his logos. You know what I mean? He was bowing to the West. He was kissing the rings of Saudi Arabia. You know, I blame Barack Obama for this. And I blame a lot of the people that were in his cabinet and a part of his presidency and Hillary Clinton. Because we need to pray that we're very happy we didn't have Hillary Clinton because they were just letting them come in by the busloads.
No, you're right. And you go down to Washington and you go to, to visit our representatives or our senators down there, and they have, welcome signs in Spanish for the illegal aliens. We were down there not too long ago, Aviac, and one of the parents saw Elizabeth Warren in the hallway. And you know how Elizabeth Warren is always, she's our Massachusetts state senator, and she's always sticking up for the DACA kids and dreamers. Yeah. And so as he passed her, he said, "Oh, Senator Warren," and she turns around smiling to him, and he holds up a big picture of his son, and he said, "This was my dreamer." And she's like, "Oh," and he said, "Yeah, he was killed by an illegal alien." And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he said, "Oh, no, you're not." And she said, "Don't tell me how I feel." And he said, "I can see it written all over your face." And then she just stormed off. That's how sympathetic she was.
What do you think about Donald Trump's speech when he was talking about American dreamers too? Because I'm pretty sure that your son had dreams too. And they don't talk about that. They don't talk about the American dreamers.
He wanted to be a police officer. He wanted to get married. He was talking about buying a home. Our kids have dreams too. I mean, Americans are the original dreamers.
Well, your kid, not only did he have dreams, sorry about the background noise, and shish. She's playing with a fork or something. I don't know what she's doing.
Being so good.
Oh yeah, she's normally pretty good.
She's a good kid.
Oh, she's good, except for see, watch, I'm going to make you laugh.
She wants your attention. Hi, Enza.
She plays with cars. No, she's Wonder Woman. But I mean, your kid not only had dreams, but his girlfriend had dreams. You were affected. Your son, your husband, and his girlfriend. It's just when they're doing their little speeches, they forget about it's more than just the angel parent. It's the whole family.
It's a ripple effect. It truly is. It affected so many people. Not only people that knew Matthew and missed him after he was gone, but the witnesses that witnessed the accident. They were traumatized by it. Some of the first responders were traumatized and needed counseling afterwards. It was such a horrific accident. I don't want to get into too many details, but Matthew was pretty much gone, at the scene of the accident. And the police officer that responded, the first police officer who was 30 seconds behind looking for the drunk driver, he was also a paramedic. So Matthew had the best chance to survive. He had a paramedic right there.
Oh, yeah.
On the spot. And they couldn't save Matthew. He just had too many life-threatening injuries. And yet I had to sit through a week-long trial, and listening to DNA experts talk about my son's DNA splattered on the truck.
Yeah.
I'm in the medical profession. I had to sit there and listen to the medical examiner in detail talk about my son's injuries.
Well, for most people who don't know, you're basically a doctor. You know what I mean? Nurse practitioners are almost doctors. A lot of people forget about.
Well, we can practice it at pretty much the same level.
Yeah, yes. I mean, you have a lot of medical knowledge. You have these people trying to put terms into other places so it fits their part of the case, so they can make it seem like this guy didn't do anything that was nuts or bad, that it was just a complete accident. No, the guy knew what he was doing. One, he probably didn't even have the kid strapped in the front of the truck.
No, he didn't. He was in the back, like it wasn't a double cab, but he had him like in a single cab up behind the back seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I mean,
Standing up
just
there.
total irresponsibility by a
Mm-hmm.
person who's not caring about his life or the people inside the truck. He should have been prosecuted to the fullest and never allowed to get out of jail. It's disgusting.
And, you know, we need Americans to stand up. We need Americans to be put first. We need our president to put Americans first. And we need our, you know, legislators to put Americans first. And you know, that's what AVAC is trying to do. We're trying to raise awareness, you know, and bring common sense back to America and stand up for victims. And
Do you have your phone on a charger?
I just put it on a charger, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let people ask questions, and then I'm going to read the questions to you, because sometimes when I have like glasses and stuff on, I can't see the screen. So if anybody has a question that you want to ask, we are going to have you answer them. No. Because there's a lot of things that people don't know. I didn't know a whole lot until we did the first interview with Agnes on how they've been trying to make it where, oh, her son wasn't on his own driveway. He was on the street, so it was okay. You know, the accident with Sabina where the information was so jumbled, you know, I mean, parents are not ready for this. When you're losing your child, you're financially not ready to bury your children. It's a very expensive process, and you're being beat up by the system. I'm sorry about that. I apologize.
And not only that, you know, you're in shock. You're missing long periods from work.
How do I join AVIAC? You can talk about the website. I think you guys are on Twitter too, right?
We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We have a website. The website is aviac.us. Twitter is AVIAC USA, and Facebook is AVIAC US.
And I did see that picture, and I recognized it from a long time ago when I had it, where you guys are all standing together with the AVIAC group. I mean, how do we get a shirt? Can we get a shirt when we donate?
Yeah, we're putting up a link on our website so you can order shirts through the website. Donations can be made through the website. There's a donate button. All the money that's donated to AVIAC is used for education and raising awareness.
I will buy an AVIAC shirt before I buy a DML shirt. Let's just get that on the record. Or a bumper sticker. Are you guys going to make those? I'm fed up. I had a phone call today that wasn't so nice. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, seriously, if you guys start doing that, I'll buy it. I'll buy a hat. I think it's a great organization to be connected to. The other organization I heard about treated a lot of you angel parents bad, and it just boils your blood. So
yeah, we could talk about that another time.
No. I'm just saying, let's start getting people to go and help your organization. I think it's awesome.
You know what? Because we are trying to prevent people from being victimized and being killed. I never expected this to happen to me. I had such a good life before this, and you know, I still consider my life good now. I had Matthew for 23 years, but I really should have had him for many more years. I should not have buried my son, and I don't want any other families to go through what we have gone through.
Well, remember what Jesus said. This is not the only life. There is another life after this. Your boy's in heaven
absolutely.
Right now.
And you know what? That's what gets me putting one foot in the other, because I know every day I get one day closer to seeing Matthew again. And I hate to sound morbid, but that's...
No, it's the truth. People should not be afraid to pass when you have your faith, because you're going to see your children again. Wendy said she wants a shirt.
Okay, Wendy, I'll put you on the list. Marianne was setting it up to put the button so you could order shirts on the website. I think she's still working on that.
Or have you been in contact with, or I don't know if Marianne did it. Has Judy been able to contact you guys yet to get any information?
She hasn't contacted me. She may have contacted Marianne if she did it through the website. Marianne probably got it. You know, another thing that just popped into my head that, you know, doesn't get talked about much is, you know, after Matthew died and we had to go pick out his plot at the cemetery, my son Michael was so devastated, he pleaded with me to buy him a plot too so he could be buried with his brother. You know, and that's the kind of stuff that I really never get a chance to talk about, and it just popped into my head now. But, you know.
Well, we're not in a rush. I mean, that's what people need to know. People need to see that your stories are not 5 minutes with a commercial break. I have a personal vendetta with Fox News because they can be so much better than what they are because they end up being like CNN. They put the focus on the person trying to interview than getting your story. That's why I was really proud of Marianne when she was like, I mean, I thought she was going to punch Ann Coulter. That's who was interviewing, right? Like, she was sitting there like Rocky IV. She was sitting there like she's facing the Russian. 5 minutes, she put everything there like, yeah, and this is what we're going to do and this, and yeah, ask me another question. Come on. I was
and you know what I would love Fox or any other network to do, even CNN or MSN or something. You know, put a town hall forum together where you have parents that have had their kids killed by illegal aliens, and then you put the DACAs or the Dreamers, you know, and let us debate this out. I would be so willing to do that, and I know so many of the parents that would be willing to do that.
Well, you know, I haven't done it yet, but I plan on getting a lot of your guys' addresses so we can send you a card, because I know even when you're telling your story, it's like rehashing everything, and I know it's hard. It's not an easy thing to talk about.
It is hard.
You're giving a lot of information to people.
You know, I love talking about Matthew and the good stuff, and as the years go on, you don't have as many opportunities to talk about your child because, you know, people get uncomfortable when you keep talking about it.
But wait a minute, you said you have a grandbaby, right?
I do.
What's your grandbaby's name? Where's he at, or she at?
His name is Aiden, and he's downstairs right now, probably eating dinner, or no, he's probably done eating dinner. I'll be going to bed
Throwing
soon.
stuff all around, playing with their little cars, acting like they own the plates.
Or it's actually kind of quiet. His mom and dad may have taken him out to keep the house quiet. Yeah, but he's great, and you know, I see you know, Matthew in him, which is, you know, wonderful, because I do believe that Matthew lives on through him. So that's heartwarming to see that. But it is painful rehashing, you know, the accident and the trial, but we do it because we're trying to prevent this from happening to another family.
When you hear these people, and I'm not going backwards, I'm just going forwards with the questions that people may want to start asking. What are you thinking when you hear Nancy Pelosi stand up for 8 hours defending illegal aliens?
Oh, if only somebody would stand up for 8 hours and defend deporting illegal aliens.
I'll tell you what, I would like to punch Robert De Niro in the face. Yeah, I know. It's just nuts.
You know, punching her.
No, not punching her. I was just kidding, like with Robert De Niro, because he's always talking about punching Donald Trump.
But still, you know, I'd like for her to retire, disappear. But there's so many
just
more
stupid. They're like 95 years old. They're on Ritalin and they're just going.
And you know what? We need to make our voices heard in November. We need to vote. You know, vote all these people out. Vote for the conservative candidates. Vote for the ones that are strong.
I really hope that you and Marianne and the other ladies that are a part of your organization are there for 2020, and you guys can be a testament to what's going on with our nation. It's almost like they turn a blind eye when it comes to talking to the parents that have lost their kids. Like Angie, I'm going to be doing an interview with her as soon as we can. She has been doing this since I can't
Angie's
remember.
Been doing it forever.
Yeah. I mean, she sent me a YouTube video. I saw that when I was a kid. You know what I mean? And I'm 32 years old now. So what we have going on in America is not a new subject. It has been going on for years. It's disturbing.
It's been swept under the carpet. Our politicians, it's their dirty little secret. They don't want the secret to be let out. You know, Donald Trump is the only one that spoke the truth. And that's why he got elected as president. You know, and a lot of us campaigned for him. And he's not moving as quickly as I want. You know, I wasn't happy with the
well, you know Tanya, don't you? You know Tanya.
I know Tanya, yeah.
So here's the plan that we are trying to get together, and I'm going to figure out how we're going to do it. But we're going to try to get all the angel parents together and do one big giant interview when we're done doing all this. So that's for Sabina. We need to get a large forum. We're going to do that. And it's not going to be MSNBC or Fox News. It's going to be something where with the money that you can make from the DVD, Dennis, can actually go back to the families who need it. Sorry about that. It's a public message.
Oh, no, I'm just thinking Tanya's awesome. I'm thinking of her videos where she wears the sunglasses and like she took that filter because I would love to have that filter.
I tried it the other day and it just made my nose bigger. It didn't work.
It looks great. It looks great on her.
But I'll tell you this much. Angie and Lupin Morphin been through. Oh yes, Helen back. I mean that story and she's the first one to tell you that it's a gang problem in California, number one. This MS-13 stuff is only the tip of the iceberg, and the Mexican mafia and all that stuff is real, and it's a drug cartel that is killing Americans daily, to make sure that they can move their stuff around and make their money. This has nothing to do with innocent deeds.
Well, about 2 weeks ago, I'd gone down to Maryland. Their legislator was hearing a sanctuary city bill, so I went down to testify against the sanctuary city bill. But you read about MS-13 in the news, and you hear it on the news. But until you hear the first-hand accounts from the police officers that have investigated the murders, it is bone-chilling. I mean,
well, I'll tell you the one thing that nobody else is talking about, and I might as well get it out there because I'm getting upset with some people who are trying to use the angel moms to make their videos get more views and more likes. You know what I mean? There's a time and a place to talk about your stories, because somebody was trying to say it to me. I got a couple of trolls. And there's not. I'm getting upset with people who are putting pictures on shirts and quilts that are not their kids, out there parading them around for the media attention to make it look like they're doing something. And we both know who we're talking about. We won't mention Maria Escobar Espinosa, but, stuff like that. It's just nuts that they're making money and they're not giving it back. And I'm just going to leave it there. But then you also have these other organizations where they took Trump's name and now they're selling their own propaganda, their own hats, their own T-shirts. We won't say the name. But, I would like to see an organization like yours where even you could get a government grant. You guys could help, other parents that are going through this. It's just nuts. I know it's a lot of money in time.
It is, but that's why we formed the organization, because we wanted an organization run by the victims. And
Amen.
If there's any victims out there and you want your story to be heard, please contact us. It can be a victim of any type of crime by an illegal alien. Any crime, no matter how small or how big, they're all crimes. None of these crimes should have happened because none of these people should be here.
Do you guys write blogs, or do you guys do any active writing on the webpage, or because I know your story helps the cause, right?
Yeah, we have our stories up on the webpage.
Cool.
We're trying to get more active with the webpage. We've gotten up and running with Twitter and Facebook. We're being more active with that. We've written letters to politicians. We've gone down to DC several times and lobbied with the politicians.
Well, I talked to Gina because I'm going to start doing a blog once a week. So for everybody that's watching, like the angel parents, if you get an email from Eric trying to get some information so it's wrote out in context, you know what I mean? With context, I mean.
We greatly appreciate the forum that you're giving us, in the exposure that you're giving us. It's, people like you and Tanya and the work that we're doing that's going to get this out there and get more people on board.
Well, I didn't even know that Agnes's husband was running for mayor where she lives.
I just heard about that probably last week.
And I was like, would it not be awesome if we had some of the angel parents get into office who could get these bills passed to stop illegal immigration and chain migration? Because they know what it's like to lose their child. It's just disturbing. And so you guys know what I was talking about was, because I lost track, I'm like, wait, I had a moment. No, the plan is to get everybody together too and do something real big. So and when you see 11 people viewing, there's a lot more than that. That's Facebook's way of censoring you. Andrew Pollock should run. Yeah, I think he should run, and I hate the fact that he's being used right now for propaganda with an opportunist, but that's a whole different video. It's if it's not a marathon bombing, if it's not a school shooting, if it's not a public building that gets blown up, or maybe a skyscraper, if you look at all of those heinous crimes, 90% of them are people who hate America and they don't like us. They want to kill us. I say this all the time. We should not ever just feel sorry for these people. So to start to get ready to end the video, I'm going to give you the last 10 minutes. What do you want to end the video with? What is your message?
Well, just to springboarding off of the theme that you just were talking about now, I kind of think about taking care of Americans, like when you're on the airplane and they give you the safety instructions and they say, if the oxygen comes down, put the oxygen on yourself first before you try helping anybody else and giving them oxygen. We need to take care of our country first. It's fine to be a welcoming country, but we have to vet these people that are coming in. The 9/11, there were like 3,000 people killed on 9/11. There's over 4,300 people that we can document that are killed each year by illegal aliens. That's more than one 9/11 happening every year. And people chanted back then, never again, never again. And here, these are the same people that are rolling out the red carpet and welcoming these illegal aliens.
Well, it's crazy, and I'm going to let you finish doing what you're doing, but you just made me think of something. When I talk to all of you angel parents, you guys are bigger patriots than some of these other people on the internet trying to sell a book, Matt. I mean, you guys are really out there doing the work.
We get nothing. We get nothing.
Now, notice what you just said. Because somebody that I know that's real big on Facebook always uses the word I. You just said we. I love it. Keep going. Sorry, I had to put that out.
No I in team, right?
Exactly.
We do this because we want to prevent the slaughter of more Americans, and that's what it is. We want to prevent Americans being victimized. We know what it feels like, and we don't get paid to do this. I take off time from work when I go down to Washington. I use my vacation time to go down to Washington and lobby our legislators. We all put in uncounted hours a week working on this stuff, keeping up with the current events that are going on, researching crimes that are occurring. And we're doing this for other Americans to prevent them from going through what we're going through. We need to take our country back. And I think we have more support than what the media lets on to. And, just like with Donald Trump getting elected president, they were predicting Hillary was going to win in a landslide. Well, the silent majority spoke. And we just need that silent majority to keep speaking up, write letters to your politicians, come to our website, aviac.us.
Well, I have a sales idea for you in a pitch. Do you want to take it? You can take this to Marianne. We should make Aviac hats that say Keep America Great 2020 and sell those for $19.95 so they can help your organization. What do you think? Are we running with this? Are we going to make some T-shirts? I'm just kidding. I just really like what you guys are doing. You know what I mean? I would buy that before the red one.
Hats wouldn't be a bad idea. I'd like Aviac hats.
Okay, I'm just saying because I've been gaining some weight lately and I don't look so good in shirts. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. But no, I just mean, like Jeffrey's always coming up with ideas on how to help and all that. So, I was waiting to see if he was going to say anything. A lot more support, but keep going. This is your video. I'll shut up. I pulled an Alex Jones. I'm sorry.
No, that's totally fine. I just, greatly appreciate you giving me so much time to speak.
Oh, no.
We want Americans to be put first, and we need to get out and vote in November. And now what people can do is write to their politicians and let them know we don't want sanctuary cities. We want to deport these illegal aliens. We want the wall built. We just have to keep speaking up.
Well, what do you think? What do you think about this 2018 coming up in November? All these Senate seats, Congress people who are traitors to the United States of America trying to keep their jobs.
Well, of course,
in Arizona running for president.
Like Elizabeth Warren running for president.
That's what I was getting to. I was waiting for you to say that. Yeah, just nuts. I mean, would people get offended if I called her Pocahontas because she's not Native American? It's just nuts how these people are crooks. They just steal money.
No. Well, I'm still waiting for her to take a DNA test.
Oh, me too. And you know what? Someone's going to call me a hypocrite and all that, or I'm a jerk. But you know what? A lot of them are stealing money. She got that fancy college degree and Congress seat because she lied.
She got into Harvard because, she claimed she was from Indian heritage. Prove it. Not only that, we're paying her to be our senator, and she's been traveling around the country selling her book.
Yeah.
On our tax.
Yeah, exactly, right?
And the only time you hear her speak up is when she's lashing out against Donald Trump. She does really nothing up here for us. She'll vote in favor of the illegal aliens, for whatever bills are supporting them. But she does not support the Americans. And speaking of that, we have the Boston mayor, Marty Walsh, who, when it comes to sanctuary cities, he's willing to put them up in town hall. I think, or city hall. We pay for that building. We pay for those utilities. You're not putting them up in city hall. That's our tax dollars.
I know, and that's the sad thing about it too is, because what I'm doing is I'm throwing things out there, so you're going to say, oh yeah, this and that and this. Massachusetts right now is not the same state it was when I was a kid. No, the things that they are doing is totally flip-flopping stupid. It's just nuts.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, we're getting as bad as California. And if we don't tide, we're going to end up like California too.
Well, do you want to end the video for us? What's that show called? And this is the final thought. What's that show? It's
the final thought. So let's take America back, and please go to the AVIAC website, aviac.us, our Facebook page or our Twitter page, and we'd love to hear from you.
You rock. I'm probably going to talk for one more minute, so don't be mad. I stole your video. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Take care.
Sorry it took so long to get you on. I had everybody, and I forgot who was who and when, and it was because of me. No.
It all worked out.
All right, well, we appreciate you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You have a good day. Ever you see one of these angel moms or dads or siblings, and then, I've seen the YouTube channel, the videos of the parents and the stories, and it's nothing like when you talk to them on a Facebook Live video to get the whole truth. We live in a crazy world, and I'm going to be doing a Bible video later today, talking about a little bit of scripture and stuff, because we live in an evil world. We live in a very satanic, evil world. And if it wasn't for these angel moms that are out there, and dads and siblings that show us that we need to appreciate what we have at home, it would be very depressing right now. So please check out AVIAC, the website. It's on Facebook, Twitter, and then they have their own webpage, and hit that donate button. Have a good day. Talk to you guys later.